During the drawing of your action plan, you definitely hobbled over the problems of bins. So this lecture is about setting up bins or making them. The objective of this activity is for you to really understand which bins could be used in the village and which are sustainable. There are two activities you should focus on here. So the first one is that you clearly discuss with the committee which kind of bins they prefer. For this, it might take you some research as well. So go together with them around and see which are best practices maybe already implemented in the village. The second one is that you then move to actually really making the bins. That can be when it is very easy, they can do it themselves, or you need to go to a workshop. Also, depending on how complicated your bins are, it can take up to 2, maybe even 3 days, so it depends what you actually want to build. The activity can take place in most cases for sure at the workshop when you are building them, otherwise you can just have it in a meeting room as well. So still your committee is the main focus group here, so work with them because they are finally the ones who continually need to maintain the bins or make new ones. The materials you need depends a little bit for sure what kind of bins you build. The problem with waste bins is that it is sadly much easier to put them somewhere than to keeping them well maintained, meaning emptying them when they are full. This fastly generates like a real problem in the waste collection system because people think this is a place for dumping waste, but on the other hand, the collection system cannot keep up. Another problem with bins is that they might be just falsely dimensioned. It could be that the community is just generating much more waste than you were anticipating, and then your bins are too small and overflowing. So in both ways, the bins become a little bit of a nightmare. So the first problem we have to solve is what we call bin responsibility. And we classify this into 3 different kinds of bins. The first one is what we call a private bin. So this is a bin which is either inside the house or on the compound. And the responsible person for this is for sure the house owner. With these bins, as a public organization or the waste collector, you do not need to take care about them, and it is for sure solely on the house owner how they keep and maintain their bins. There is another kind of bin which we call semi-public, and that is a bin which is at the fence of a compound. So it is still partly maintained and owned by the house owner, but on the other hand, since it is at the fence, it can be used by the people who are just passing by. And then there are real public bins. These are bins which are on the road or in public places. So these bins are under the full control and responsibility of any waste collection organization. Next to the responsibility for maintenance, it is also the sustainability of the bin itself, which is important. So we came up with a few rules which we think are the way to kind of decide which kind of bin should be used in a rural community. So first of all, the bin should be produced locally. Even better, it is produced from common natural material or waste material. It should have nearly no cost at all. It should be durable as possible. It is important that it will let rainwater drop through. So it is basically an open basket. So these few rules for us define what is a good bin or what is a bad bin. Let's have a look at a few examples and decide under our set of rules if these are good or bad bins. The first one is the most common bin probably everyone has in their head, and that is a normal plastic bin with a lid. So let's go through our rules. Is it produced locally? No. Made out of waste? No. Does it have nearly no cost? Also no. Is it durable? Well, that depends a little bit. So here, when these plastic bins are put out in the sun, they will last roughly 6 to 8 months. Does it let rainwater through? No as well. The plastic bin, from our perspective at least, is roughly the worst decision you can make when you decide for bins for the community. Now, some designs which fit a little bit better. The first one is another classic, that is the bamboo basket. These are locally made, they are very cheap. The bamboo material is a kind of waste material and also a natural material. It can be easily replaced. They are not that super durable, also because when they stand like this on the ground, easily they get eaten by termites and ants. Another design is a mixture of bamboo and a fishing net. This is actually a quite nice design. It came from an old fishing trap, so it's also waste and locally made and partly made with organic material, so a good idea. The problem was only with this bin that it was actually too large for the amount of waste, so it became unstable after some time. Then another bin, this is also more like a classic, and this is the typical PP gunny bag, which can be used as a waste bag, which is actually very good. They are waste material all over the country and in rural areas abundantly available. Gunny bags are very good bags as bins, but also they do not last very long as the PP in the sun is getting porous after some time, and then it will get holes and destroy. The bin is set into a kind of metal frame structure, which is for sure also a pretty decent idea. Now here we have another bamboo basket in a, let's say, even better design format, as it is not touching the ground, so it means that the bottom will stay longer strong because there is no insects who can come from the bottom. And furthermore, because it is hanging, there is no chance that animals, specifically dogs and cows, can throw over the garbage. So this is actually a quite decent design. This design is more interesting from the perspective of grouping. So we see here 3 bins. One is on the right side for organic waste, and it is a composter. And then on the left side you will have 2 bamboo baskets, one for inorganic waste, which should go to the dump site, and one for inorganic waste, which can be resold to recyclers. So this kind of structure is specifically good for smaller towns actually, rather than for pure village communities. But this, when you are capable of setting it up, this really helps the community to segregate their waste in the right way and to be more aware which kind of waste belongs where. There are for sure a few challenges regarding the bins. The first one is that the committee and the community in most cases actually prefers new plastic bins. So it takes a little bit of time of convincing them to switch to an alternative. The second one is that your bin infrastructure is very well in place, but sadly your collection system is not working, and in that way the bins are all overflowing. The third one is regarding the sustainability of the bins themselves. So even if you construct really long-lasting one, at some point they for sure will break or they get lost, or something will happen. So your committee need to be aware of this and need to maintain the bins. I can really recommend that you are using bins which are already somehow locally in place. So really have a look, what are they, how do they function, and how you can actually implement this throughout the village. The second one is that you emphasize on either private bins for sure, that is more easy, but the other ones are semi-public bins. So try to keep the ownership with an individual, with a household. Do not push all the ownership of maintaining the bins to the waste collection system, because when there is an issue, then all the bins are overflowing.